Okay, so it's been a little while since we've since I've gotten on one of these videos, so let's get right to it. How do you make sure that you stay on track, you stay motivated, and most importantly, how to make sure you actually get stuff done every day without fail? How do you do that? That's the topic of this video, so stay tuned and let's jump into it. The thing is that when you look at how to go about your day, how to do things in such a way where you're at maximum productivity. There's a number, there's so many things that can keep you distracted and away from what you really need to be focusing on. So the really what it comes down to is what should you be spending your time on, and how do you make sure that you're actually spending your time on the things that actually bring you the most return on your time, the most return on your investment. Time is an investment. Time is money. Time is an investment. So this is going to be a little bit more of a long form freestyle type of video. I'm probably not going to edit this at all and just basically say my thoughts as they come with all the pauses and maybe, hopefully no mistakes, but that's the idea. And before we go any further, make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment on this video if you have anything that you agree with, disagree with. Let me know about it. I'm happy to hear from you. And again, I do apologize for the gap between videos, but I've started up a new company. We've grown massively in the other one. Been really busy in a good way. So the core of it really boils down to, for me, I've lately, for the last couple months, I want to say I've been the most productive that I can honestly say I've been the most productive I've been in, I want to say, the last few years, or as long as I can remember anyway. I'm just insanely productive now. Now, that focus and having that level of productivity really boils down to something that I didn't really put too much thought into. I kind of knew that it was something that needed to be changed, but it wasn't something that I really understood the gravity of as to how big of an effect it actually has, until I went ahead and did it. I'm going to share that with you in this video. So make sure you stick around to the end, because I promise you that if you do what's in this video, you'll see a night and day difference in what you're accomplishing on your day to day. That means your goals, your ambitions, things that you're building, your empire that you're building, your startup, your work endeavors, whatever that might be. All of that you'll see a night and day difference with if you just do what I'm about to describe to you in this video. I wish that I did this before, because the amount of time, the amount of things that I would have gotten done if I just did this for a while now compared to what I was doing before, I don't know where I'd be today. Probably way, way further. Not that I'm not accomplishing things as it is, but you'll see what I mean. The thing is that what I kind of noticed is that I would have a hard time to, starting from the morning. I wouldn't necessarily want to get out of bed because there's just so many things to do. So, I might, I work from home. I work at my own pace. I run my own businesses. So there's nobody to tell me that you got to get up and do this stuff. It's me. I have to do that. I've tried telling my wife, make sure I'm awake at this hour and out at the computer by this hour. But even if I was at the computer, um, the thing that I sort of noticed was I would get up, and then I would basically, surf 9gag or Facebook. I've never been big on Instagram just because I hate that app. It's just everything about it. It's just toxic. But I realized I was wasting an inordinate amount of time and not getting things done. Every day was like that. I would sit down at the computer. I'd work for maybe 20 minutes. If it was, on a good day, I'd work for 20 minutes out of an hour. Then I'd take a break after that. Then an hour might pass by. Then I'd hunker down and say, I really need to get this stuff done. There's people depending on me. There's things I need to get done. So I would work for, let's say, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and be like, oh, I worked so hard. I need to take a break. I'm going to go, surf the web, look at Facebook or whatever, 9gag, Amazon, read the news, watch some TV, Netflix more specifically. Those sorts of things. That was sort of a typical day for me. Just all the time, I just wasn't really getting the things done. And then, I kind of thought about it, and it's just like it was so much easier and more pleasurable just to do that stuff instead of actually getting work done, because the work wasn't making me happy. I wasn't getting like, I knew I needed to do it, and I knew that it would make me happy eventually. But it's just the gratification wasn't there in that same moment, like it would be for something else. So this kind of caused a problem, because all the distractions that I had, they were just really so much more enjoyable than the things I needed to do. And then I kind of came across this video. You guys might know him. He's on YouTube, because I was watching a lot of YouTube, and it was crazy how much YouTube I was watching, even while I was working, or just generally. I would just be on YouTube a lot. I think I was averaging 5 to 7 hours, depending on the day, of YouTube per day. While I was working, distractions, instead of working, before work, after work, just a ton of YouTube. That was a big waste of time. That I was watching all sorts of videos on, all these things that were either completely unrelated and just a waste of time. Just like skydiving videos, or paragliding videos. Those are sports I'm into, or videos about engineering, videos about real estate, videos about this and that, and all sorts of videos, and people that were doing really well on YouTube, and they were actually doing a better example of how I should be doing my YouTube channel, where I'm posting more often, which is here we are. I'm just really busy. So the point is that I was spending an inordinate amount of time doing things that weren't moving my needle forward at all. And then when you kind of look at it, I came across this video by Alex Becker, and he was talking about something called dopamine detox. And I thought this was just the latest hype and all this bullshit that is on the internet, some kind of crap. But I watched the video because I like Alex Becker. I like his style. He's got good humor, and he's in a good place financially, and also he's very focused, right? No bullshit. At least now. I don't know how he was before. I heard rumors that he wasn't that great before, but now I like the Alex Becker of today. And he kind of brought up this study, and I looked into it, and basically here was the moment that I realized that I was doing things very wrong, and I need to change them, because it's accurate. Why do we as humans do what we do? Why do we why do we get things done? Why do we go to work? Why do we do things that why do we watch TV, or why do we go hang out with friends? Whatever it might be. It turns out that really the main thing that motivates anybody to do anything, as unfortunate as it is, I feel this is completely true. You might disagree with me, but for me, I think that this is basically it. Humans do things for dopamine release. You basically go onto YouTube, onto Instagram, onto Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever, any one of those. Every time you hear the little alert that somebody left a post, or somebody did something, or somebody replied to you, did a like or something like that, that's a dopamine hit. And it's extremely powerful. It's designed for that. Video games are the same. Computer games, video games. So, you want to get that pleasure hit all the time, whether that's going to be, you know, social media, porn, Netflix. It's just that's what you seek. And if you're not getting that, you're pretty much not going to be motivated, no matter how good it is for you and how good it's going to be for you. That's not enough. If you're not getting the dopamine out of it, you're just not going to do it. And there was an example that Alex mentioned, which I thought was really interesting. There was a study that was done with rats, and with these rats, basically there was a cage, and in that cage there was food in one corner, and then they had these electrodes hooked up to the rat's brain where they would release dopamine. It was shock or something like that. They would give a hit of dopamine to the rat's brain when it would press a button in the cage. So it would press the button, dopamine would get released into the rat's brain. Yeah, pleasure chemical. And what ended up happening was extraordinary, but basically the rat would stop even going to get food and eat. It wouldn't mate with other rats that they would put in. Rats that, it usually would want to mate. If there was a member of the opposite sex in there, the rat would want to, would want to fornicate with that other rat. Wouldn't respond to it. Basically, it just wanted that straight dopamine all the time. It was just like drugs. Like heroin in that sense, just the ultimate high. It's kind of what this rat was looking for all the time. So I'd basically be a slave to this button, this dopamine button. So much so that they even went further and took this experiment to extremes, where they put this button in the opposite side of the cage from the food. And to get to the food, it was a straight line. You can go get food. But to get to the button, they put a pad in the cage where if the rat stepped on the pad, it would basically get electrocuted nearly to the point of death. And the surprising thing was that the rat would still go for that button instead of the food. It would rather pretty much be close to dying just to be able to get that dopamine than to get to the food. I sort of thought about that, and I was like, it can't possibly be that extreme. That humans, for example, is the parallel really accurate? That with humans, they would rather pretty much get close to death than to do something that they need to do, like eat food, for example. Eat food or nutrients or whatever. And then it seems like he mentioned that there are definitely parallels in there, and I kind of thought about my own life, and it sort of dawned on me that I was also kind of like that rat, where even though I knew I shouldn't be wasting that much time and being distracted so easily, I was kind of that rat. I would rather go get that dopamine, the cheap dopamine, the easy dopamine. Than to do what was right, what was actually going to give me something that I wanted. I want to have a business empire. I want to get success. I want to be, all that. I want to have that continue, and I want to get more of that. That's what I want. That's what brings me joy. But Facebook and YouTube, it's just so much easier. So I kind of watched that video a bit further, and then he went on to say that basically the problem is that there's just so much cheap dopamine. I'm referring to it as cheap dopamine. That wasn't his reference, but it is cheap dopamine, cheap thrills. That really what kind of ends up happening is that you don't the bar is just so high for what for how much dopamine you need to be motivated to do anything. Compared to social media, everything just pales in comparison. So basically, if there's anything that gives you less dopamine than any of these dopamine hits that you're getting from whatever porn or social media or some kind of video games or anything like that, time wasters effectively. you'll do that any day of the week, and you won't be tired. You'll be totally focused. You'll put all your energy into that, rather than do what you should be doing. So what's the solution? Well, effectively, you have to reset the bar. You have to basically bring the bar down. The only way that you can do that, and this is the most important part of the video, this is really what I'm getting at with the whole video. The only way that you can do that is you have to remove everything that's raised the bar that high. So for me, that was on my phone here. I basically deleted everything social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I had those. I wasn't using them that much, but I deleted them as well. The LinkedIn, surprisingly, I deleted that as well. I went further. I blocked everything I had in my phone that would allow me to go to websites that I would normally frequent that were actually a waste of time. All the news websites, any kind of social media, YouTube especially, any kind of humor websites, any kind of porn websites. I would disable even being able to open the incognito tab to bypass it. On my computer, I did the same thing, basically put blockers on everything. I disabled the news feed on Facebook. And the reason I did that is because I kind of figured, well, the only way I can even get to Facebook is if I go on my computer. And if I do go to Facebook, because I use it for business, then I would only be able to get to Facebook without seeing the news feed, because the news feed sucks you in. That's the key, like dopamine release, to see other people. And it makes you depressed, actually. Instagram isn't horrible for that, and Facebook has elements to that. Anything with a news feed, YouTube as well, you go to the homepage, you see all the recommended, that's like a news feed. So I blocked all the news feeds, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, because I have this YouTube channel. So I blocked all the news feeds and the home pages and the recommendeds. And then and then I put basically a timer which would only give me, like, I think, 2 minutes out of an entire day to even see anything that wasn't a blocked website, because you can't make it 0. It has to be like some amount of time. So I made it 2 minutes. So I have 2 minutes out of the whole day where I can check the news, for example. I can't watch any videos or anything like that. So really, I mean, the only time I would even be able to do anything is if I went in and then I had it like password protected to disable that for a moment, and then I would know that I needed to enable it back again so it keeps everything blocked, to be able to, for example, upload a YouTube video. That would be the only time. So in and out. Why did I go to these extremes, and why did I basically do all this? What was the result? Well, the point was that I wanted to lower my bar as much as possible as to what would release dopamine for me. I wanted to reset the bar. Super important. I wanted to reset my bar, my dopamine bar, because basically your reason for doing anything, like I said earlier, is dopamine. And whether you believe in that or not, just try this. Just try it, see for yourself. If it doesn't work, let me know. I'd love to hear that you did everything I'm describing and it doesn't work. I would be super surprised. But it does. It really does. And what you're basically doing is you're removing everything that releases dopamine, and you're bringing the bar for what would release dopamine so low that things like doing work and getting things done that you need to be doing, that's what is going to release your dopamine. That's it in a nutshell. You have to do that in order to start getting things done, because you're only going to get things done that release dopamine. Therefore, you need to get your dopamine to start releasing from things that are boring. Me writing up documents, creating automations, SOPs for my team, training, contacting enterprise clients, getting JVs going, writing up contracts. That stuff doesn't produce anywhere near as much dopamine as just browsing YouTube and things that I would enjoy, which at a certain point I would stop enjoying just because there's just so much dopamine every day, all day. Just stop getting any joy out of it anyway. So hanging out with friends and family, you'd rather be on your phone, playing a game or talking to people or checking out that, it's more dopamine than hanging out with friends and family. So even that started to get affected as well. You know, I wasn't sleeping enough, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that I knew I had to get stuff done, but it was just so much, and there was no dopamine in it, that I would rather just waste my time and my life effectively browsing YouTube instead of getting things I knew I had to get done. So if I had to summarize this sort of what I'm suggesting to you in two words, two words, it would be this: seek discomfort. If you're comfortable, that's dopamine. If you're uncomfortable, that's not dopamine, or it's minimal dopamine, and you're going to get things done. So if it's making you comfortable, it's probably not something you should be doing. If it's easy, it's probably not worth doing. Not for everything. There's obviously things that are easy but are perfectly worth doing. You know, spending time with friends, family, loved ones, your kids if you have them. You know, your dog. Not to say kids and dogs are the same thing, but those are all things that are relatively easy. But they need to bring you that joy. So if you have a lot of things you need to do, then it's very easy to tense up and just not do them because you'd rather be browsing something and getting your kicks out of that than doing what you need to be doing. That's what's been proven true to me. And you know, for days, weeks, months, years on end, I've noticed that was my pattern. Once I stopped doing that, the level of focus that I have now to get things done, because I'm not spending it on anything that is a waste of time. I'm pretty much only, like, at a certain point, my brain is fried after several hours of working. So I'll go for a walk. I still won't go because everything's blocked. So I'll go for a walk. I'll exercise. I'll hang out with my wife. I'll go cook dinner. You know, I'll do the dishes. I'll vacuum the house. Something to just not waste my time with dopamine, the cheap dopamine. I need things. You know, I always have things I need to be doing that are more prudent of me to do than the cheap stuff. So that's kind of the takeaway for today's video. I know this is sort of a long video, but to summarize it, if you're not seeking discomfort, and it's tactical discomfort, it's discomfort that would actually get you to achieve things. If you're not doing that, then you're not going to achieve what you need to be achieving. So you need to have a very clear picture of things that would make you uncomfortable, but you know will pay off and are important to you. For me, you know, it would be, for example, talking to CEOs. Even with all my experience, I still, it's uncomfortable for me to go there. I don't want to get rejected. All the stuff that any normal salesperson, if you think it's any different for somebody like me that's sold, you know, millions of dollars and worked with companies all over the world, if you think I wouldn't rather just browse YouTube instead of going and talking to them, you're wrong. I would, but I don't. I actually am seeking discomfort. If I ever get a tattoo, it'll be those two words: seek discomfort. So if you can find something that you know is going to make a massive difference and it makes you uncomfortable, but you know you need to do it, do that. Literally run towards it and do that every damn day. Pick one thing, the key thing that's going to make the biggest difference in your life. Not two things, three things. Keep it really simple. There's one thing that you need to do every single day, okay, that you need to put all of your time and energy into, not something else. Just pick one thing. And if I do that thing, then my life will be much better. Make it very specific. This is the one thing I need to do every day that will get me to where I want to be. And then no matter how uncomfortable it makes you, because you have literally nothing else that's releasing dopamine, you do that thing and it'll release dopamine for you because you've lowered the bar. Now, a couple important points. If you're going to do a dopamine detox, it's everything. It's fucking everything. Drinking, I don't know if you're smoking weed or any kind of drugs or anything like that. That's obvious. Any kind of movies, any kind of junk food, fapping, porn, all of that, gone. Hanging out with friends, going out to clubs, gone. Video games, gone. Anything that's fun, unless it's exercise, Anything that's fun is gone. That's how you reset your dopamine bar. It's extreme, but it fucking works if you really want to get stuff done. Try this out. Leave a comment. Let me know how it works for you, because I know it does. And also, I'd like to hear what your one thing is. Let me know what your one thing is that might be uncomfortable for you, but you know you need to do. And if you do that one thing, it'll be a massive change in your life. If you're going to do this and you're going to do a dopamine detox, comment below. Let me know that you're doing it, and then comment back. After at least a week, you need at least a week of dopamine detox, at least 1 week, and then let me know how you're feeling and how you're doing after that. Because basically, you need about a week to reset your dopamine bar. You need to bring that down so that what will release dopamine for you is very generic. It's not anything crazy. It's not cheap. It's the stuff that you actually need to be doing, which has very little dopamine. But because you have no dopamine coming out from anything else, that'll be enough. Let me know what that is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said earlier, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Now, how do I turn off the record? I just really don't want to edit this, so I'm gonna just leave it unedited. This is gonna be completely raw. Take care, guys.